Hello, everyone. This is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of I, the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful Rabbit Hole lore and frame the upcoming Jaw of the Dragon. Over the past several weeks, ever since the release of Batman Gotham Knights, the fourth game in the Arkham trilogy, there's been a lot of discussion among game developers about the problem with the gaming industry. Ooh, it's not just the Nintendo consoles that are holding back gaming now. It's these last gen platforms. It's these weaker platforms because the mere fact that the Xbox what is it called? Like the Mini S? Oh yes, the Series S, I think. Like the more compact version of the Series X. The console that's the same exact thing, but significantly less powerful. Developers are claiming that because this platform exists, because there are weaker platforms in the industry, that they're having problems optimizing their games, and that's why Gotham Knights does not look as good as Arkham Knight. And really, I think most people kind of called this out for what it was to begin with, in that it was a bunch of talentless hacks from a new studio who are aping off the better work that Rocksteady did, uh, desperately trying to make their mark in gaming. They're basically making excuses as to why their games are not as good as what's come before. And this is what they came up with. They're going to blame the hardware. And for me, this is a really interesting story for me personally because I grew up being told that like, oh, the GameCube, it's weaker than the other platforms. The Wii, it's weaker than the other platforms. The Wii U, it's weaker than the other platforms, right? This is like the general go-to response when developers don't want to release a Nintendo version of a game, is that they just blame the hardware for being like too difficult to work with or having some serious problem with it. When in reality, they're just being paid by the other companies to release the games on their platforms, and Nintendo doesn't do it. So, it's just a way to pressure Nintendo to pay up, right? Like it's just a business thing, right? But the interesting thing about Gotham Knights is that this game is so poorly received, is that people are actually starting to look into this and realize that like developers, when they say that they can't develop a game for a specific piece of hardware, that they can't do something, or that like something is no longer possible, it's not true. Like the problem is a lack of skill and a lack of ability to make compelling, interesting software. And and in Gotham Knight's case, because the game is just so obviously not as good as Arkham Knight, there's really no way possible the developers can damage control this situation. And the fact that like this argument that like weak hardware is holding back new and interesting game developers, that's been that's been so ingrained in gaming for 20 years at this point. I've been hearing this excuse for years in regard to Nintendo releases. The fact that it's actually being challenged now by a specific subsection of like the gaming audience, I'm optimistic this might actually lead to more people like addressing the fact that certain games still do not have proper Switch releases, right? Resident Evil 7 should have been out on Switch a long time ago. Kingdom Hearts, the entire series should have been out on Switch day one. Nier Automata and Persona 5, like were two games that really should have been out on Switch year one, and yet the companies involved refused to do it, citing like a lack of audience interest and just an all around, just danced around the issue for years. Like even now, I think Sega and the Yakuza devs are still insisting that the Switch audience is like full of like teenagers and that they're not worth supporting or something like that. It's absurd. It is ridiculous, and I will be very very glad when this narrative finally collapses for good.